Welcome back into the Real Family Business Podcast. Episode number 2. Today we're going to talk about the beauty of a family business. But before we do that, I think we were just in here joking around about the fact that a family business means you can dress however you want, whether that's really nice like me and Keith or, sloppy like Cody over there. But what'd you spend, 24 years in the military?
27.
27 years, retired Lieutenant Colonel.
How old are you?
I'm 27. Oh. And so I know you dressed up plenty. So the one thing, right. Cody, if you could change one thing about Rollo Insurance, about our dress code, what would it be?
Ooh, I wish I could wear camouflage every day.
He's told me specifically, I think, it'd be nice if we all had to wear the exact same thing every day. Yes. That way you just didn't have to think about it in the morning.
I like him. I could.
Don't give me a break. That pink jacket,
First of all, this is not pink. This is red.
It's pink.
No, my dad.
It's beautiful though. I wanted it too.
It's not pink.
They didn't have my size at the store, so he got it.
It's not maroon.
I wish it was maroon.
Look, outside of the dress code.
Why are you picking on him? Look at your shoes, man. Those things are like yuppie all day long.
I know. I got style. But the beauty of a family business, right, is the fact that there are a lot of freedoms and availabilities made to you. It can also be a trap and a pitfall. We talked about that in episode 1 of the Vision.
That's true.
But I wanted to know this. I want to start about like this. What made each of you want to work in a family business?
I'll start.
I'll go second.
Because I am the exact opposite of probably what you're going to say. I came from the most bureaucratic organization on earth, United States Army. So to be able to come to something that there is freedom to have the values that you want to have, to be focused on people and not just product or service, is a huge, huge plus for me.
That's actually not way different from what I would say. Anybody who's spent a substantial amount of time in corporate America knows both what it is and what it isn't. And I'm not here to throw stones at any other business model, but what I will say is there's a large subset of the workforce who would love to get into a family environment if they knew where or how or what that would look like. And let me tell you, it's better than you think of, especially when you are with the right group.
I'm smiling just because he always says that. I'm not going to throw stones at any other family business. Like, well, not big ones, but small ones constantly.
Well, I might lob a few spitballs or something, but
I'm not going to hurt anybody. Just injure a little bit.
It feels like a good disclaimer to make, but nevertheless, I tell you this.
It's like
much.
I'm being honest when I tell you this.
Hey, once you experience the goodness of what family business is, to go back into a bureaucratic, rigid, autocratic type of environment.
Very much.
He still
it's funny because both of you. Yeah, but both of you
still have some corporate struggles. I can tell.
I might start.
But it's interesting though because both of you have. Look, I don't have any experience outside of this in Rollo Insurance. I was very, very, very blessed to step right out of school into a job that I had no resume for or ability to, figure out what I was doing. So this is all I know. Okay. He created this and he worked, what did you work, Farm Bureau for 1 year prior to that?
Well, no.
I know you had other jobs.
Yeah, I worked at some other places. I won't say their names. And so one of them was a pretty large company. But
take my rock. You can throw it down.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, yes, basically that. But
my point is, these two guys come from the real corporate world, right? And I'm putting the Army in with that. But you guys have seen what it's like outside of a family business.
Yeah, that's right.
Jason, when you think about I do call him Jason, by the way. He is dad, but I call him Jason at work. So it is weird, but I do it. So, Jason,
his nickname list is growing.
When you created this thing, it was just to provide income for your family, right? You were building something. At what moment did you know this is going to become a family business, and I want to keep it that way?
So number one, you ask why did you get into family business? The reason I got into any business because my wife said go to work, make some money. But of course, my dad had taught me work ethic young, and I wanted to do that. But the other thing, I was working for one of those companies I was referencing earlier when I was in college, and I could sell some things, but they really wouldn't pay you a commission, or it didn't matter if you sold a lot or a little. That sounds pretty bureaucratic. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, this is crazy. If I could sell 3 times as much if they would put some incentives in place to motivate someone. And I saw, I guess, in that the idea of there was no motivation at all. And that's so contrary to everything I've always believed, even growing up, is you work hard and no matter what. But if you're incentivized, you're really going to work hard.
Yep.
So I think being exposed to some of that, I worked at a big manufacturing place one time, again in high school / college. I did many things, and that gives you some well-rounded experience, and really that freedom motivated you to say, hey, I can set my own goals, I can do what I want to do. And then I found an industry, the insurance business, that let me do that. And I guess that's maybe any sales to some degree. If you enjoy what you're selling, it's what you make of it.
Correct. Yeah. So at what moment did you know, like, I want to keep this thing a family business?
Oh, a family business. Well, I think when I had the opportunity I started for a bank, and then later was able to buy it. And then as it began to grow, and I don't know really what moment it was, but I started thinking about my boys growing up and other people. And let me just say this much too, in a family business, there's been a lot of people in this business that are technically not family, but they are family.
They're Rollo family.
Yes, but they are family. I call them family and non-family family, which you know what I mean.
A better way of saying that is family and the Rollo Insurance.
Can we just say family and double family? How about that?
You can say whatever you want. You're the boss.
Thank you. And so, hey, you don't usually say that all the time. I like
just
that.
On camera.
Okay, yeah. Believe me, real family business. Believe me, he'll argue with me.
Record that, please.
Yeah, please do. And so, but basically, people become your family even if they're not related. Yep. And I think that when I saw that, I'm like, you know what? I want to protect all of these people that are my family. Yeah. And that's the thing I think which makes you know what? I'm not going to let this thing get messed up, because there's too many people depending on me that I care about.
Yep.
But can I add one thing to that, though? Yeah. Just I'm riding on his coattails. I think fit is such an important thing, and that is one variable in the family business dynamic. I think if you find the right fit, you literally, it's the biggest blessing. There are no words to describe how big the blessing is. I'm sure for situations, if you don't find the right fit, it could be equally problematic. But I think that's true for any career, right? Yeah. I mean, that's true in corporate. That's true in a lot of places.
Yeah. Oh, I know too. One of the things we're for sure going to talk about, for those of you who don't know, Keith is like the reason we grow at Rollo Insurance, and he will tell you. I think in a minute we're going to talk about like the importance of hiring people based off of cultural fits. So sometimes if you're a family business owner and you're like, man, we got some people they don't work within our company. Well, probably they don't fit within the value system and the beauty of what small family business is. Right. I will say this, for me, the moment I think I knew that I loved in family business where I wanted to be was, I went to school, went to Texas A&M. My goal was Stanford Law School, work at Apple, contract attorney. Like, I wanted the big corporate life. That was what I was working towards. Like, everything I did was kind of working towards that vision. And whenever I decided to stay here, I remember all of the ways I approached like college classes and the ways I approached building my resume were based on the way a corporate company would tell you to do it. And then the more I got into this business and I realized how much we affected people, like the Rollo Insurance family members who are here, there was a bigger impact there than I'd ever seen. That's right. With thousands of kids who are trying to go to work for these big companies. Not that they don't do it, but to me, that level of impact we had on other people, I knew for a fact that we could do something special because we could take care of people. And we spent a lot of time and effort. And I will tell you this, a full circle moment for me was when your son worked here last summer as an intern in our IT department. He came in, and to me, that was a full circle moment because whenever I joined, I was kind of like the kid who is joining the business second generation. And since then, my little brother Josiah is right there. He's our director of digital innovations. He's a whiz with all of this stuff. And then your son's in it. And I know Kristen, who's our CRO, her daughter got in it, right? And Cody, your daughter's filled in for us some. It's like Beverly, both of her daughters have been in the business. Like, that to me is the fulfillment of what I enjoy, which is when you can perpetuate it.
It's so personal.
So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and some of that also we'll get into a conversation. We'll get into in other episodes talking about the conventional wisdom and why things work the way they work. But absolutely, it's the family business model. It's the gold standard.
So I want to add to that because I think in a large corporation there can be pockets of this, and I think when you see those pockets, you see success in that division, that department. Yep. The difficulty becomes sometimes they're making the big decisions on the numbers or the amount of profit that quarter, and if you become subject to termination. Yep. At the end of the day, you're a number. I can tell you that that's not the way it is in a small business. For sure. It's family.
I want to come back to that and end on that because to me, that is the dynamite that small businesses have in their disposal. That is a success thing that they can do, big businesses can't. But before we do that, let's talk about some of the problems. Like, what are some of the challenges that a family businesses face? And then let's just what are some challenges a family business can face?
Did you take it?
I was going to say, obviously, one is just trying to figure it out as you go. Because if you're a family business, oftentimes you've created something from nothing, and you are potentially multi-generational of the same from nothing. So you kind of only know what you know. You maybe have only seen the things that you have seen inside your path. It can be difficult for some to not have any other outside sources coming in and providing some input and say, hey, have you tried this? Hey, have you looked at that? And not necessarily make changes, but just from that other perspective, which I think we're going to talk about in another episode.
Plug episode 1 with vision, by the way. You said that first, you fixed that problem. What were you going to say?
No, I'm just going to say that that I think small business is a bastion of where innovation really happens, right? Corporations have literally infinite resources. I mean, I'm only contrasting.
I feel like a real family business staple should be like a Keith Lane definition thing that pops up every time you use a big word. But keep going. A bastion of innovation. I totally agree with you.
It's true.
I Google that word.
It's true.
That just means they're open-minded. They think of stuff.
Well, think about it. I mean, I've been a part of large organizations that are going around gobbling up small ones because they can do things. They can think in ways they can. Large organizations are masters of efficiency, and that's not to say that that's not to say that small businesses can't be equally efficient or comparably efficient, perhaps. But where the strength and the opportunity and the beauty, in my opinion, of small business and what you've built here is an environment where you get the right people with the right purpose, pushing in the same direction. And what you can do in the ways that you can touch people personally. You're like you said, you're not a cog in the wheel. And there's nothing wrong with being a cog in the wheel. Sorry, put my rocks down here. Not throwing stones, but
not throwing stones. So I wanted the word you just said. You used the word personal, and that's a big word. And so when you think about personal, if you're in a small business, 5 people, 10 people, even 50, 100, I mean, even hundreds of people involved, that's small. And you have intimate relationships, and you know each other, and you know their families, and you care about each other. It's just the opposite of a number in a huge system. You know, think of a company that has 50,000 employees or something. That's insane. I mean, that's crazy big. Yeah. And so the ability to really get to know each other, it's not the same.
Yeah. Well, here's one of the challenges that I think family businesses have is usually most businesses start out with one person. So I'm going to say not partnerships, just they start out with one person. They start out with a Jason Rollo, who's the janitor, the sales producer, the service rep, the client, the customer service person, like everything, right? Isn't that what you were at the beginning?
Yeah.
Plus accounting.
Whose wife's doing accounting for free, and then she becomes,
But here's the thing. When that business begins to grow a little bit, to me, that is where the challenges come in. The corporate companies spend tons of money training their middle managers on efficiency and operating procedures and scale, and small businesses are left to figure it out on their own.
That's right.
But Jackson, this is important, but what does it tell you? If they're going to truly do that, they have to kind of temper that relationship, because I know if I'm going to have to maybe get rid of Keith, then I don't know how well I really want to know him. Yes. Because it's a whole lot easier if I fire him, get rid of him, whatever, he's a number. Hey, go talk to HR or whatever. Right. It's not my friend.
Yes.
And his family. And that is such a difference. I can't even really.
But in terms of the challenges, though, that are faced, like a small business will face, it is taking it from one person's vision that they set, and now they got to trust 4 or 5 other people. And those 4 or 5 other people have different ways of doing it. They have different personality types. That, to me, is a challenge sometimes. Is like, how do we make all of this work together for the common momentum? That can be tough.
But how many times have you heard me say there's no blueprint for what we're doing, right? And that's the thing. We're growing, we're innovating, and I think that is it's the blessing and it's the burden.
There's a big word that comes to mind that I want Cody maybe talk about. This is trust. Trust. That's true. So you said you hire some people, they don't get it, they're trying to figure out your vision, you're trying to figure out the vision. If they trust you, they're going to do some things that maybe they don't fully understand easier. And I go back again, we keep pulling your military background, but how big is trust in building anything?
So, I mean, starting in the military, it's you have a guy that's protecting your backside from getting shot. So, I mean, trust is everywhere you go. It's just a matter of one of the things I wanted to bring up, and that's not a big word, by the way. It's only 5 letters. But
yeah, Keith, give him the big word for loyalty, bro.
The bastion of confidence in others.
Bastion, I like that word.
Guys. Anyway, so I think that speaks to one of the challenges, Jackson, what you brought up, is that there's no box, there's no limit You know, in the military, it's been passed down for generations and generations, and there may be some refinement along the way. There may be some freedoms along the way, but in a family business, there's no lines. It's you can go in any direction, and like you said, everyone has their own opinions of things, and trust is such an important piece of that, because now you're like, okay, hey, we need to all be working towards the same objective together. And we have an infinite number of possibilities out there. How do we pick and then run with that at the best of our abilities? So I think that's hard.
You know, I think a couple other challenges, though, that you're going to face as businesses are, like, let's just take cash flow, right? These humongous businesses, the reason that they can go out and buy these small businesses a lot of times is the small businesses think they're working at a disadvantage when it comes to cash flow. And to some degree they are, right? They don't have access to the private equity money or to the publicly traded, funds that are going to be available to them. But I think that's where you have to double down on your vision. If you know where you want to go, don't act like a big corporation, because you're not one, right? Use that to your advantage, which is kind of what I want to twist us to in this last section, which is you got a thought on the challenges?
Yeah, big time. Because you mentioned, think about payroll, lack of cash flow. I mean, I can remember in the early days having a fairly large, at least to me, line of credit that was pretty tapped out, not totally closed, just to make payroll for people that didn't even know I was doing that. But at the end of the day, I cared about them enough that I'm not going to put them in a bind, okay? Yep. And so the small business owners take a lot of risk. There is a great reward sometimes not, and things ebb and flow. But it's so different, again, as opposed to the easiest things to do is just get rid of this person. If you're in a big bureaucracy, sometimes money, okay, whatever, just money whip it, deal with it, who cares, somebody else's problem. It is totally not that way in a small business, especially one. I know when we started from Notepad, and then we would hire people. I remember I had a person hired one time that they couldn't really get a test pass. They couldn't do what they needed to do, but I did not want to get rid of them. And so I was doing everything. I would even do their work behind the scenes after hours, just so I didn't have to get rid of them and fire them, because I didn't want to hurt their family. Because again, they were people that we knew and cared about. And again, that's not happening in a big business or someone that's just bureaucratic.
Yep, absolutely. And I think there's a hard balance to that. It's like, when is a person hurting the business, and when is the business here to help the person?
It can become a problem.
It's a balance, and that is a challenge as well. But as we head into our last section, I do want to end on a very positive note, because in my opinion, small businesses have more opportunities than big businesses, whether that's through innovation or through the way you attack certain problems. Look, these big companies, here's what they do have. The private equity ones and the publicly traded ones, there's one thing that they care about ultimately.
Bottom line.
The bottom line. The money that's going in the shareholder's pocket. That is ultimately, so if it's life is great, hey, I work for a private equity company. Totally you can, number one, totally you can. Yep. But if you're a family business and you're like, well, I can't compete with them. Sure you can. Wait for the market to shift. The employee culture ain't going to be there when the bottom line in right. Neither is the innovation or the investment in the people. Those kind of things are areas where small businesses have opportunity. So where do small businesses have opportunity and can differentiate themselves from the big guys?
Let me take the first shot at this. You guys rein me in if you think I'm off base with this. But I'm telling you, I tell people all the time, stewardship of what you're building is mission critical in small business. And I love that part. And there's a whole, you could talk for hours just about that. But my point is, in small business, you're allowed to keep the priorities correct. So for example, we talk a lot about God, family, country. That's who we are. That's what we value. That's where we derive our purpose, our passion. So much of what we do starts there. Yep. And so when I tell people at Rollo Insurance, our priorities are God, family, country. We also have to be good stewards of our business, but by doing the right thing, period, full stop, 11 times out of 10, that is our number one objective. But we also have to be good stewards of the process. It allows you to communicate and be authentic in a way that an environment that puts the number one emphasis solely on how do we squeeze every red imaginable cent out of every single thing. The priorities are different, and so those priorities are a huge advantage that corporations big corporate can't compete with.
Yeah, and I pick on the military a lot because I have a lot of experience with it. But if you've ever had military experience or know anything about it, if you're in a fire team or squad size, we're talking 5 to 10 man unit. Everywhere you go, that's family.
Yep.
You live together, you sleep together, you shoot together, you fight together. Everything you do it's just that's your family, and everything you do, you protect each other's backs. It's the same thing in a family business. It's just a different objective, right? We're not trying to protect people and harm people, things like that. But it's the same concept. It's You each have a role to play in that very small unit, the family business, and the opportunities are just endless to help each other grow and to do better. And all those things that in the military, when you make it up to battalion or brigade, or we're talking thousands of people in a unit, it becomes very number oriented because you just can't.
It has to.
You can't possibly.
There's a reason it does this.
Right.
It has to.
Right. There's not the intimacy of having just 3 other guys or 7 or 8 other guys. So the challenge exists reasonably so, but in the small family business, it's so much more intimate.
So I want to use an example. Like I said, I'm a big reader. Readers are leaders, I think. And so if you want to be a good leader, you need to read. And I've done that. I've read a lot. And so take Sam Walton, who, founder of Walmart. Go read one of his autobiography. It's incredible. And so this man, you talk about opportunity. He had the vision. Yep. He had the dream. He knew what he was trying to do. And he would then find people who could run a certain store, and he'd turn them loose, gave them flexibility. Small business owners will let people have a lot of latitude if they work hard, they're loyal, they do a good job. They're going to have the ability to operate with freedoms that maybe a bureaucratic situation they don't have.
Correct.
And so he would do that. In fact, I would say go look at all the people who became millionaires and multimillionaires working for Sam Walton. There was a lot. Yep. And so I know I take. I guess, in a good way, good pride in people that are having great success working with us. Yep. And it's that's fun.
Yeah, it is. And, I think that when I think of the opportunities a family business has, it is the priorities, but it also is leveraging what Cody was. I think it's both of those things. Because of the priorities being set in a certain way, innovation can happen because trust and loyalty are given to those team members within your family or your team who are given more responsibilities. Like I love it personally because you look at our C-suite group, and with the exception of probably you in terms of like the background, like school wise, nobody really should be a C-level member, but for Rollo Insurance they should be, right? Because they're the exact right people who fit into those situations, and they were built through time and trust and loyalty. And to me, that's the benefit of a family business. You can build something, and you can take more pride in building something than you can ever in just making it more efficient.
Well, there's a certain person coming to mind that actually took a pay cut. He was working for a very large organization, took a pay cut, took a chance, go to work for us, and has blossomed and worked their way up to a very high position. It was earned through sweat, hard work, determination, loyalty. And sometimes people will say, you're really loyal to this person. Yeah, I guess so. They've been loyal to me. And again, that goes back to family. And you cannot buy that. You cannot trade that. And I know that's what you believe. Yeah, and when you understand that, there's nothing better than that situation.
I think a great way to end this episode is this. If you're a small business, small family business, know that what you're building is a beautiful thing because it is a hard thing. And in today's economy, very few other people have what it takes to do what you did.
That's right.
I tell you that all the time. I would not have had the ability to do that. I love where I'm at now, helping us grow. I would not have had the fortitude to build something from scratch. I love that. But you got to take pride in that beautiful thing that you're building. And know this, at the end of the day, you don't have to make every single decision based off the bottom line. That's where the big guys, they do it. They have to do it. You don't have to. And that is the beautiful thing about small business. You don't have to make it off the bottom line. Make it off the people. When you do, the bottom line will take care of itself.
That changes everything.
And I want to say one more thing, too. And I think all the family businesses that are having true success, they made some decisions early on to not give themselves maybe what they could have to help the business grow and to help other people. The rewards will come in time, but if you don't put back into the business and take care of your people, then that's going to also create a problem.
It is.
So there's a balance to all of that.
Guys, well, thank you for joining in. We look forward to seeing you back on episode number 3. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about that. Make sure to like, subscribe, all of the social medias here on YouTube. We really appreciate you, and look forward to seeing episode number 3.